The top 1% of business owners fire themselves first. I fired myself from sourcing deals, from due diligence, from asset management, from portfolio management. Every one of those jobs used to have my name on it, and today none of them do. Our team of 7 manages over 1,000 mortgages, most of which we own. And the business runs whether I'm in the room or not. Today, I'm gonna walk you through how we did it, one firing at a time. Stay tuned, because I believe you can run the same play in your business. I'm Martin Saenz, and I've spent the last 17 years managing real estate and mortgages throughout the US, both on a self-funded basis and as a fund operator. And if you find this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below and let's get rolling. Now, I know how fire yourself sounds. If you step away, who does the work? The place burns down by Friday, right? Here's the part that stings. The job you'd protect the hardest, the one you're best at, is probably the first one that has to go. I'm gonna defend that today because I lived it. Let's start with what time management even means at the top. Every video on the subject hands you the same toolkit: color-coded calendars, time blocks, a morning routine with a name. All of that assumes the list of work is fixed and your only job is to arrange it better. The top 1% asks a different question. They look at the list itself and ask whether each one of these jobs should have a name on it at all. At that level, time management is role design. You design the machine first and the calendar is whatever's left over. Here's how I learned that the hard way. In 2013, I sold my first company, a government contracting business my wife and I built out of the basement of our home on borrowed money. For years, I was the machine. I was the one writing proposals at 10 o'clock at night in a Buffalo Wild Wings booth. When a buyer finally showed up, here's what they paid me for: the contracts and the teams that serviced them, the parts that ran without me. Everything that needed Martin in the room was worth nothing to them because Martin wasn't for sale. That lesson is simple and it's brutal. A business that needs its owner every day is worth less on the one day that matters most, the day somebody offers to buy it. And you don't need to be selling for this to matter. Run this test inside your own company. Take everything you pull out of the business in a year, salary, distributions, all of it, and divide it by the hours you put in. That number makes you the most expensive person in the building every time. Now walk your calendar with that number in hand, the invoice followed up, the scheduling, the approvals that could be a checklist. Every hour of routine work you're holding is being done by the highest priced employee your company will ever have. None of this is new thinking. By the way, Michael Gerber wrote the E-Myth book back in the 80s, where he says, work on your business, not in it. That book sits on my shelf. Robert Kiyosaki drew the same line between owning a job and operating a system. The playbook has been around for many years. What changed is the cost of running it. Because for 40 years, firing yourself meant hiring a layer of managers most small companies couldn't afford. So owners read the book, nodded along, and went right back to doing everything themselves. That excuse is gone. Our shop runs the routine work on software a 7-person team can afford. HubSpot on the CRM, Cloud Talk on the phones, our mission control center on the portfolio, SharePoint holding the documents, and AI layered on top of all of it. You'll hear the same specific tools as we go through the 4 firings. One rule governs all of it. And if you've watched my other videos, you've heard it before. AI accelerates a disciplined operator. It does not create discipline. If your process is chaos, automation just hands you faster chaos. We built the systems first, and then the tools made the systems cheap to run. That's the why. Now the how. 4 jobs fired in order, and the first one is the job most owners would defend to the death. Quick picture of our business so the 4 jobs make sense. We buy distressed mortgages at a discount and work with homeowners to get the loan performing again. The family stays in the home, the note pays us every month, and everybody wins, including the neighborhood. 13 years of that comes down to 4 jobs: sourcing the deals, due diligence, asset management, which is the homeowner side, and portfolio management, watching the whole book. I used to be all 4. Here's how each one fired me. Sourcing went first. In the early days, that job was me working in a cave. List of note sellers, a spreadsheet, cold outreach, 1 message at a time, in a calendar block every morning to grind through it. The first firing looked old-fashioned. I wrote down the entire job: our buying parameters, who we buy from, what good pools of mortgages look like, what we walk away from, and word for word what the outreach says. Once the job lived in the paper instead of in my head, it stopped needing me specifically. That's the entire trick of this first firing. So let me say it plainly. You cannot hand off a job that only exists in your head. Today, that playbook runs itself. We brought in Clay and Clay agents to handle all of our lead generation. Daily emails go out to prospects automatically. Follow-ups run on a schedule, and my name is nowhere on any of it. Deals come in the door automatically now. The job I used to grind through every morning in a cave happens while I'm in the gym. And notice nobody gets replaced by a robot. A task got replaced by a system. And the humans in our office spend their mornings on the conversations that actually need a pulse. Because due diligence is where the money dies if you get it wrong. I learned that with my own wallet. My first 10 notes were dogs. I did the due diligence like a real estate investor, worried about the roofs and windows those, and I overlooked the thing that decides everything in this business, the borrower and their ability to pay. The fix was becoming something closer to a private investigator. Credit, title reports, skip tracing, putting the whole story together before we ever own the note. I built that checklist mistake by mistake, and here's where AI changed this job completely. Today, we feed every report into Claude Code. Credit reports, title reports, skip trace results, pay histories, all of it. Claude Code organizes the data and analyzes it across the entire pool and hands back insights at what I can only describe as a genius level. Patterns I would have missed with my financial calculator and my whiteboard, and I say that with a smile because I still use both. The result is we buy at a much stronger level than we ever did when the analysis lived in my head. The checklist still gates every deal. The judgment call on whether we buy is still human, but the brain doing the heavy analysis underneath it isn't me anymore, and the numbers are better for it. Before the third firing, you need the method behind the newer ones, because this is where AI enters and where most owners faceplant. We have a team member named Cole. He's our AI and systems specialist, and Cole is not allowed to automate anything he hasn't watched a human do. Before a single workflow gets built, he sits down with the person who owns the task and walks their actual day. Where does a file come from? What do you check? What do you do when it gets weird? The automation gets built from that interview, and the person who gave the interview signs off on what it does. The machine learns the job from the human, and the human never learns to fear the machine. If you watched my audit video, that's the same interview process that found our most expensive task. The third firing was asset management, the homeowner side, and the one I gripped the hardest because this was the part of the business that comes from my own scar tissue. Around 2005, I fell behind on my own mortgage. The servicer bounced my payments back, rejected every workout I offered, and treated me like garbage. A different stranger on every call. That experience never left me. It's why this side of the business gets built with more care than any other, and it's why firing myself from it took the longest. The firing happened in two stages. Stage one had nothing to do with AI. I wrote the training manuals, every step of how we work a file and how we talk to a family in their home. And then I hired the one thing you can't put in a manual: empathy. I hired people who hold our core values: to create, to protect, to grow. Get the manuals and the people right first, because no amount of technology fixes the wrong person reading from the wrong playbook. Stage two is where AI took it to another level. Today, our asset managers have AI agents to make and receive borrower calls on their behalf. They walk through their files with Mission Control Center, our proprietary AI system built for this exact business. Underneath that, HubSpot runs with custom automation and AI configurations shaped around how we actually operate. The routine touches happen automatically, and the human empathy gets saved for the conversations that need it. Quality control went the same direction. For years, reviewing every recorded borrower call was a person's job. Crystal, our integrator, sharpest set of ears in the company, spent hours every week grinding through the tape. Now, an AI agent listens to every call, not a sample, scores each one, and flags a handful a human should actually hear. Nobody lost a job. Crystal moved up. She runs our EOS integration now, the operation rhythm of our whole company. I'm proud of the systems we built. I'm prouder of that promotion. Manuals, the right people, and AI doing the routine work. That's the combination that let me fire myself from the job I gripped the hardest. And here's the lesson: fire yourself from a task and you get your hours back. Fire your best people from their busy work and you find out who they actually are. 3 down, and the fourth firing is different because the fourth job was the one I liked. Portfolio management, watching the whole book, which loans are paying, which are drifting, where the risk is pooling. I like that job. I felt like standing at the wheel with all the instruments in front of me, and that's exactly what made it dangerous, because a dashboard only I could read meant a company only I could steer. This firing was the least dramatic and the hardest on the ego. First, we defined every number I watched and wrote down what worried me about each one. Then we wired the data straight to the analysis. A QuickBooks connector feeds our financials into Claude Code. Our loan servicing data feeds in the same way. So at any moment, we can get an instant read on our entire portfolio, every loan, every dollar. What used to take hours to assemble now takes minutes, and it's automated. The daily delinquency report our portfolio manager runs every morning is my old instinct, written down and wired in. The thresholds do the worrying, and anything that crosses a line gets escalated the same morning, whether in the office or at the pool with my kids on a Saturday. That's what got me fired from the job I like most. I had to accept a strange sentence to get there. The portfolio is safer because I stopped staring at it. 4 jobs, 4 firings, and no one lost a job. The best promotion this company ever handed out came straight out of a firing. That's how over 1,000 mortgages get handled by fewer than 7 people with a foreclosure rate under 1%. Those are our numbers from our office. I'm not promising you the same numbers. I'm promising you the logic, because the logic travels. Which brings up the question I get every time I tell this story. Martin, if the system source the deals and the team runs the book, what do you do all day? Fair question. And the answer is what managing time like a top 1% CEO actually means. My seat now is the visionary seat, and it's the one job in the company no one else can hold. I cultivate the culture, I bring in the new clients we serve, I speak at industry conferences, and I grow the company financially and in reach. The simplest way to say it, my job is to make the company stronger on the inside and bigger on the outside. Our core values run through everything here: to create, to protect, to grow. The team lives all three every day. The asset managers protect families and protect their portfolio. Cole creates the systems. My seat lives mostly on grow, and every firing I just walk you through is what freed me up to sit in it. Crystal found a bigger version in her role. Cole's entire job didn't exist when I was doing all four. My week has room for those discoveries because it's no longer spent doing their jobs badly on top of mine. So here's what the week looks like, and the difference comes down to one word: freedom. The morning starts at 5, the gym, a few pages of the Bible, and I look at the same financial living statement I've reviewed every week for years. At 8:05, the whole team is in one room, and we go around the horn. Your numbers, your wins, your biggest challenges. Every person, every day. Somebody does something notable. We ring a bell. That meeting is Crystal's now. 25 minutes after it ends, I know the state of the entire company, and from there, the day is mine to spend, not spent for me, because that's what the 4 firings actually brought. I used to be trapped by tasks that demanded my attention from the minute I logged in to the minute I gave up at night. The day ran me. Now I've captured my day back, and I've spent it how I want to spend it, only on the work that I can do and the people I do it for. And Saturdays are dadder days. All 4 kids, the pool, my wife gets the day to herself. For years I told myself I was building towards that. One day, eventually. The systems move one day onto the calendar. When I say the top 1% manages time by firing themselves, that's the freedom I'm talking about. Nobody ever color-coded their way to a Saturday like that. Your move this week is small. Run Cole's method on yourself. Sit down with your calendar and walk your own day like an outsider was interviewing you for the job. Write down every task as if you had to hand somebody the manual. Then find the one task that would never miss you. The follow-up email, the approval that's really a checklist. One task where your judgment adds nothing and your hourly cost adds plenty. Write the manual for that one and hand it off to a person or to a software. I don't much care for which. The firing is the point, and the first one teaches you how the rest will go. If you want help running this playbook inside your own company, we teach it live in the AI for Operators workshop. The link is below. You are the most expensive employee your company will ever hire. Most of the jobs on your list are lying to you about needing you. Go fire yourself from the first one today.